My first one is called Winter's Child. He wore a longi, few possessions, Burmese typewriter, dog tag on a chain, photographs, a box of newspaper articles. He was so Buffy's winter boy, no pretense, enthusiasm, devotion to a cause. He loved the blocky fountain at Embarcadero that everybody hates. Walked barefoot in its water with delight to child's innocence and always laughter. He saw no value in money, freely giving it away, joyously as if his job for all created milk and honey. One day he was late. He said he would bring chicken and a cake, wine and chocolates for the children. But then there was the disconnected phone. I was hurt, confused, alone. He had been given amnesty, yet had ambition to go back and fight. I never saw him again after that night. 32 years ago, there was no why. He trashed his promises and never said goodbye. I dreamt of him last night. I was running up some stairs and saw him sitting there. He said my name. He was not white, of course, but he was glowing white. I said his name. We held an embrace until I awakened. I now wonder if the dream meant he has somewhere died, or if it meant my mind seemed finally ready to release the question. That was my serious one. The second one I wrote for a snake. It's called The Adventure of Mythic the Snake. Daughter and granddaughter, with no intention to purchase, went to a reptilian convention. They returned with a cage, an orange snake, and some mice in a bag which they fridged, wrapped in plastic, in ice. They named the snake Mythic, and he was quite small. There was fresh water, sand, and one defrosted mouse. His glass house, secured by big clips, was quite tall. Still, my eyes wandered round to the cats in the house. And then came the news that there was a pandemic, which President Trump said was only the flu. So just as I pondered the weirdness of that, my granddaughter came to me holding a cat, saying Mythic is now eating two. Oh, how the anxiety grew with the news. The 6 feet apart thing, Trump's all about me. It seemed that this country was split between views, the masked and the unmasked, the meaning of free. Therefore, lost in the politics, protest, and shit, I missed the announcement when Mythic ate 3. The day came when families said Mythic ate 4. I'd been online trumping about broken laws. I was dragged away mourning my words to the cause. To the Mythic I'd known as a bit of a twig, but I stood there astonished, for Mythic was big. And the horrors went on the news day by day till it seemed like our country'd been hit with a curse. Next, my family came in and made everything worse. They tensely informed me that something was wrong, that Mythic was not in his cage. He was gone. For many days following, I was uneasy. I'd checked out the tub and the sheets on the bed, the bookshelves, the cupboards, the closets, the plants, the shoes in the hall and behind the TV. The thought of a cat getting him made me queasy. Then after 3 weeks, I assumed he was dead. I'd just about finished some work in the house when I saw our cat, Mithu, bent down to the floor. He was rigid, eyes large, reaching under the fridge. Quickly, all of our cats were behind a closed door, while my daughter worked swiftly defrosting a mouse. Well, Mythic was hungry and came toward that mouse, and he took a large bite of the head. Then my daughter, with tongs, clamped the bait's other end, and she picked him up while he was fed. So Mythic's adventure is over at last. We're all happy he will survive. There are weights on the top of his habitat now, but he's outgrown this space pretty fast. In 3 days, his new cage will arrive. This next one is dedicated to Balto, the hero sled dog who raised diphtheria vaccine to children in Nome, Alaska. It's called Puppy. We were hero dogs rushing through snow and through ice in danger of dying on sharp hidden rocks. The truth of this being we carried vaccine to be used against outbreaks of COVID-19. I sat in the passenger seat of the car, feeling a part of this hero dog dream. This vaccine was created by science upstream, but I still was quite proud to be holding the box. The next one is a fight I had with a muse. And embarrassing, I lost. It's called Muse, Ghost, or Spirit. Me. Okay, muse, ghost, or spirit, I need to be inspired about a poem and I have nothing. I haven't been home much this week, what with going through storage boxes, cleaning up demands, too much of my time. Sometimes I feel like I'm covered in grime. So now that I have an hour or maybe a tad more if I ignore the kitchen floor, once again, if you don't mind, I have nothing, repeat nothing. Hello, muse. Nice of you to work me into your time slot, but be it not forgotten, I am not, nor have I ever been a genie at your rub and call. Also, for your information, I have no care for your grime or time, your floor. I do not even care if you claim nothing, nothing. I send you swirling images at all hours of the day. Even in your sleep, it seems you forget the dreams I send and you learn nothing. Nothing. Me. You often show all images at once. I cannot very well contend with each. My thoughts bunch up. It's as if your time makes me reach for them too fast. They collapse on me, become a thing I wake up not to, but from. The images don't last. Might you slow them down some so I can solidify my conception of your input and interpret with my own perception? Else I should write of sunsets or the sea. With no assist from you, I would be free. Muse. That you should write of sunsets or the sea, or for that matter, sonnets, would scare even me. What rot the yonder window breaks, and then you'd pen spaghetti, laundry soap, or birthday cakes. So leave the words as I've arranged. I'd have to be deranged to give you leave to write all by yourself. Alas, what fright that might give art. Here's one for you, and now I must depart. You have your poem. I hope you are inspired. Now leave me be a while. You make me tired. That's embarrassing, right? The next one's called The Cat That Wouldn't Eat. And that's by my cat, Kimmy, who is very old now, but this was when she was a baby. When the young guy at Starbucks stopped for a minute to ask me, "Do you need a cat?" I said, "Yeah, sure, that and a latte." He and his lover brought it, a scrawny, tiny tuxedo with gold eyes and wide, tall, furry black ears. It looked weird. "Please call us if she won't eat. She stops eating. We worry." We promised, okay. They left for the night. As soon as they were out of sight, this small, non-eating creature chased our two cats from the kitchen and ate everything in sight. She stole their food. We had to separate their dishes. They thought her rude and looked at her with hate. In 2 days, they rejected her as I'd expected. And then she hung herself. I had a puppet displayed on the wall besides a shelf. That night I was awakened to the screaming of two cats. They got on my bed and in my face and led me frantically to the next room, where the one they hated was tangled in puppet strings, dangling. She looked quite dead. I quickly picked her up and set her free. She didn't move at all. I picked her up again. Then her eyes opened. She looked up at me and all around, jumped from my arms and hit the ground, running down the hall, living to eat again. And then I looked with marvel at my other two. You hated her, but didn't let her die. But then with cats, one often wonders why. And this one's to my granddaughter. It's called The Wingless Bee. Zoe, at an early age, immersed herself in art. Paints and canvas were supplied and quickly grabbed her heart. So many paintings she turned out, the newest a flying square. I asked her, what is this about? This yellow guy with stripes of brown, who's floating high above the ground. She said, you see, he's flying there on a warm summer day without a care, where there's so much below to see. I call it the wingless bee. An amazingly talented child, I thought, to invent a wingless bee. Of all the paintings she produced, I wanted this one for me. She gifted the painting, said, I have 1,000 more. I thought of another she called the pond, one of which I was still quite fond, which hung by the bathroom door. A circle of blue with a background of green above the stairs where it could be seen by anyone on this floor. I gladly accepted the wingless bee, hanging it up immediately between my bedroom and the hall, secured it well so it could not fall, where it looked quite fine but still was mine. You could also be seen by all. Later that week, when I talked to her, I told her I thought it so clever. To think up a wingless bee who is square is creatively cool and exceedingly rare. And then she laughed and said, that was never so clever at all. The square body was copied from Minecraft. So yes, I made him a bee. I realized that I'd not planned ahead and forgotten a couple of things. In a painting, though, he would not fall dead, but the thing you aren't knowing is funny, you see. I was late that night to be going to bed, so I left it as is. There's no more to be said. I just didn't know how to make wings. And this last one was a challenge for my youngest daughter. It's called the Centipede Pirate. We were talking on the phone about centipedes and pirates. She said, write something for your poetry group. And I did, and I love this one. It's 3 parts. Centipede Pirate. Part 1. Hey, John, I said, emerging from the cracked part of the rubber mat under the broken popcorn machine. Long time no see. Got stories for you, John, he replied. John was my name also. I haven't got any stories, John, except the COVID thing sort of ruined the movie theater. This, I motioned above our heads a ways, was the last popcorn machine to spill anything, and it's broken, and I'm hungry. All there has been to eat here are the random carpet ticks, and they taste like crap. Well then, John, he said, grinning, I have good news for you. I just got off of a tourist ship. It's not in service right now, but there's another one due in a few days. Those tourists drop so much food, and boy, does it bring out the bugs at night. I've gained so much weight. That is good news, John, I said. I'd watch for the next ship and stay nearer to the water. Maybe I'll see you then, John, he said. The tourist ship will be lighted up. Watch for the lights. I'll go out soon, John. I'll follow the lights and hope to join you. Have to go a bit slower, though. The last guy looking for popcorn dropped an empty Coke tab on one of my legs. Like that old joke. Yeah, 999 thump. I hate that joke. Part 2. I've not seen a lighted ship, and sure am getting hungry. There's a non-lighted ship that's been there a day or so. I might explore that. I've only had 2 flies today, and I can feel myself getting thin. So I crawl onto the ship on a plank of wood. I cover my sore foot with a tiny sliver from the wood. I am spotted by a man who starts to come at me, but then another man screams, don't step on that. Huh? Why? Because that eats bed bugs, matey. It's a 1,000-legged worm. Oh, right. The man shined a handheld light on me. Looking at me closely, he said, Yo, Cap'n, it has a tiny piece of wood stuck to one of its legs. Har, 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 the captain laughed. 999 thump. God, how I hate that joke. It isn't even accurate. I watched as they set up to take off. I was a bit uneasy because there were no lights, but bedbugs sounded delicious, so I stayed on board. We took off that night in the dark. Part 3. 2 days into this journey, the captain spotted a smallish and dimly lighted ship. They pulled up to it and robbed it quite efficiently. Did you tie him up good, Captain? Aye, but one a bit looser. We'll be gone by the time they can alert the shore. He pulled up a box of loot by ropes. They all scrambled for it. The box contained colored fabrics and lacy gowns, some jewelry, a couple of guns, bottles of wine. I couldn't see the rest, even from the rope I stood on, but looking down, I saw them pull out a hefty bag of round gold coins. Shiver me timbers, one guy cried out, a pirate's fortune. Good work, mateys. Two guys pulled up the rope ladders and the captain yelled, heave ho! As we took off into the pitch black sea, the captain shined a light around and spotted me. The little worm with 999 good legs brought us luck and treasure. Here you go, tiny pirate. And he threw me a stolen jacket with about 1,000,000 spiders on it. Tiny, but tasty. Well, I finally found a home, even though we never have 1,000 legs, because they aren't ever even. I didn't hate that joke anymore. I kicked the splinter off my foot, which was now healed. As I fell asleep that night, I reminded myself to do my new job in the early morning. I was, after all, in complete charge of bedbugs. And the last one, when we were kids and had troubles, our dad would help out by inventing Mr. Elephant stories. This one's for my sister who is here. It's called Mr. Elephant. Problems can happen when encountering troubles. Here is what Mr. Elephant wants you to do. Hang a sheet out the window. If you hang a sheet out the window, it sends a signal. Doesn't matter if the sheet is red, yellow, green, or gray. Makes no difference if it's night or day. Mr. Elephant will show up right away. Mr. Elephant will understand. Mr. Elephant will know your plight. He'll work his magic for you day or night, and in the end, he will have set things right. So if it's some time you don't feel good, or when nothing is happening the way it should, here's what Mr. Elephant wants you to do. Hang a sheet out the window. It matters not what year or season, even if you feel sad for no specific reason. When a thing is bothering to you, hang a sheet out the window. That is assuredly what I would do. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Lee. Oh my. I love what you
Encore,
do.
encore.
Yes, I was wanting to say that too. It hasn't been 20 minutes. It's only was 17. And I was hoping you would read one more. I just didn't want to put you on the spot where it's hard to find something that you want.
Yeah, I don't want
If
to.
you'd like to, if you'd like to, please do though, if you have something.
No, I just rather stop here.
Okay, okay. But yeah, I was
Fair
thinking the
enough.
same thing. Okay. Uh,
That was a set.
the po grand, indeed. And Lee, I love your first poem with that dream embrace, and then you're wondering and pondering about the gentleman's fate. It's hauntingly beautiful. What a lovely and resonant poem. And the rest, your fight with the muse and the cat that hung herself. I'm so glad that she lived. The wingless bee, never so clever at all. Um, and ending in a part of a poem with "I hate that joke." Part two. Um, anyhow, but my favorite thing is how when you were kids and had troubles, the father would make up stories and how absolutely imaginative, hanging a sheet out the window and Mr. Elephant and all of that. What a great gift to have a dad like that to you know distract the mind into a beautiful fantasy world and kids forget their troubles. It's like a pirate's fortune drawn up. I'll be quiet. If anyone else would like to clap or speak or comment about Lee's set in any manner, that'd be great.
they're deceptively simple poems, but there's such a lot of depth hidden in there. You know, they just sort of take you. They always take you by surprise. So a lovely set, Lee. Thanks.
Thank you.
She's a great storyteller too, and sometimes she slips into lyrics. I don't know if you realize that, Lee. Sometimes you become very lyrical at certain points, and then you change again, and you carry on with the story and spice of dialogue now and again. I quite like your style.
Thank you, Lantern Carrier.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I think your poetry is full of hope. You know, you don't deny the problems. Like everybody has their problems. Every single poem that you had said, "Hey, people have their problems," and you're very clear about what those problems might look like. But you have a kind of a wry look at them. Like I love the way that you personify critters. You know, the cats and all, and you have a great sense of humor, and it comes through in all your poetry.
Thank you.
If anyone needs to get a cup of tea or whatever you like to drink or stretch their legs, we'll start back in about 2 minutes. And I'm so happy that Lee's set was so well received because it was a glorious thing. And Poems of Hope, what a great way to say that. So,
I say what Therese said. I was muted, so what Therese said.
Yeah. You find yourself feeling sorry for the critters, and then you start laughing because you say something humorous. And then there seems to be an okay conclusion, but a question. You know, you leave us with a lot of questions, you know.
I think Lee and Rick have a similar muse, a similar a similar style of writing, a similar sense of humor, and I guess the best advice would be to Lee: don't try to post your poems in whatever journal or poetry board that Rick was posting in, because they'll probably get banned.
I'm going to boycott that site myself, I think, is in response to their dissing Rick.
Poet Hunter, indeed, not
Poet
not
Hunter.
Poem Hunter.
Poet
All
Hunter.
right. Thank you so much, everyone, and thank you, Lee, especially.
Thank you.
Absolutely marvelous. Merveille. What wonders. Okay, so we're gonna go then on to Rorschach, and then there's Therese, Ray, James, myself, and thanks again to Lee and Rorschach. I'll get the recording ready.